Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moton.
And I'm Adrienne Bankert. Here are the top 5 things you need to know this Tuesday. Number 1, a major development in the impeachment battle.
The Justice Department is vowing to appeal after a judge ordered former White House counsel Don McGahn to testify before Congress in the impeachment probe. The judge rejected the argument of immunity claimed by the White House, saying presidents are not kings. The ruling could now affect other White House officials who refuse to testify. Number 2, the Thanksgiving travel trouble.
Yeah, the snowstorm that covered the California mountains has now moved into Denver. By the end of the day, it will spread into the plains and upper Midwest, stretching into Michigan. The Denver International Airport has already canceled over 400 flights.
In the meantime, a fast-growing wildfire has forced mandatory evacuations near Santa Barbara, California, just as a storm being called historic and unprecedented takes shape in the Pacific. Number 3, a powerful earthquake strikes Albania.
Hundreds of people have been injured in the magnitude 6.4 earthquake. At least 6 people are confirmed dead. The Army now rescuing people from collapsed buildings. An earthquake in the same area back in September damaged hundreds of buildings. And we head to Cincinnati for number 4, where crews are on the scene of a partial building collapse.
4 workers were found alive, but 1 is still missing. Last night, the search became a recovery effort.
The structure came down yesterday afternoon as workers poured concrete onto its 6th floor.
And number 5, there could soon be a new richest man in the world, and his name is not Gates or Bezos.
Oh no, it's Bernard Arnault, chairman of the French luxury goods retailer LVMH, the parent company of Louis Vuitton, which just bought Tiffany & Co. Now, after the deal, Forbes magazine says his net worth rose to $106 billion. That's just shy of Bill Gates and only $4 billion shy of Amazon's Jeff Bezos.
That's a pretty penny. A nice list to be on.
You can buy a lot of purses with that money, and shoes.
Yes, you can.
And a lot of other stuff. Let's get to that big story this morning. A setback for the White House in the impeachment investigation. A federal judge has ruled the former White House counsel must appear before Congress. The judge, speaking out about President Trump's effort to prevent his top aides from testifying, said, quote, presidents are not kings.
This ruling could now have far-reaching consequences. ABC's Andrea Fujii is here with more. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Adrienne and Kenneth. Democrats are calling this a major win and hoping other high-ranking officials like John Bolton could be compelled to testify in the impeachment hearings against President Trump. But the Justice Department has already said it will appeal the judge's order.
Despite the White House efforts to block his testimony, a federal judge ordered former White House counsel Don McGahn to comply with a subpoena to answer questions before Congress. McGahn was a star witness in special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff announced he'll release a report shortly after Thanksgiving. He also called the ruling a very significant victory for congressional oversight and for the American people. Meanwhile, the Justice Department says it will appeal the judge's order, keying up a precedent-setting case at the Supreme Court with implications for other witnesses in the impeachment inquiry. But Schiff insists the investigative work continues, and we are learning additional information almost every day. This all comes amid growing scrutiny of President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Giuliani dismissed suggestions he'll be the fall guy for the president.
I've seen things written like, he's going to throw me under the bus.
Right.
When they say that, I say, he isn't, but I have insurance.
Giuliani, though, insists his comment was sarcastic.
What do you make of Rudy Giuliani saying he has insurance?
I don't know. Rudy's a great guy. Rudy was and he covered that himself. You know that.
Meanwhile, sources tell ABC News the team of former National Security Advisor John Bolton is reviewing the federal judge's ruling to determine if it impacts how they proceed with the ongoing congressional inquiries.
In making this order, the judge said that her conclusion was, quote, inescapable and no one is above the law. Now, if McGahn wanted to assert executive privilege to avoid testifying, the judge ruled he would need to appear before Congress to do it himself, likely on a question-by-question basis. Adrienne?
Andrea, thank you so much.
Well, turning to the controversy at the Pentagon, we now know the order to allow Eddie Gallagher to retire as a Navy SEAL came directly from President Trump. A day after the head of the Navy was fired over his handling of the war crimes case, the president continued to praise Gallagher. Gallagher was cleared of killing a captive ISIS militant, but convicted of posing with the corpse. Former Navy Secretary Richard Spencer told CBS News it sends a message that troops can get away with things.
For the first time, animal cruelty is a federal crime after President Trump signed a bipartisan bill into law.
Animal rights activists praised the legislation, which was passed unanimously in the House and Senate, expanding a 2010 Obama law. Certain acts of animal cruelty will now be punishable with fines and up to 7 years in prison.
And President Trump can keep his tax returns under wraps for now after the Supreme Court put a congressional subpoena on hold.
The justices granted the president's request for an emergency stay to keep his financial records confidential while they decide whether to take up the case. The House Oversight Committee is seeking the records from his accounting firm, but the president's legal team claims he is immune from investigation while in office. Next this morning, the search for answers after a brazen heist at one of the world's oldest museums.
Priceless jewels were stolen from this museum in Dresden, Germany, and now officials are organizing a special team to crack the case.
These are the priceless artifacts that were stolen in a matter of minutes from the Green Vault Museum in Dresden, Germany. Thieves making off with 3 sets of 18th century jewels, including historic swords, pearls, and diamonds.
These objects are extremely precious because of their value, but also because of their craftsmanship, because of the history that they have embedded in it.
Police have released this surveillance footage showing 2 axe-wielding thieves smashing their way into glass cases containing the jewels said to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The thieves certainly did some planning. This morning, authorities are investigating whether they sparked a fire in an electrical junction box near the museum, which created a blackout in the surrounding area. They say after entering the building through a smashed window, they headed straight for the display case that held the jewels. The thieves reportedly escaped in an Audi A6, a luxury car with a top speed of 155 miles per hour. A car matching that description was found on fire at a nearby parking garage. The suspects long gone.
Museum officials are urging whomever is responsible not to try to break the jewels up into individual stones. They claim they'll be nearly impossible to sell because of the publicity surrounding this case.
All right, in other news, Russia may be banned from competing in the next 2 Olympics. Experts at the World Anti-Doping Agency say Russia still violates the rules about performance-enhancing drugs. If the agency's board approves, the ban would also include other competitions, such as soccer's World Cup.
And a man wielding a machete is dead and a police officer hurt after a drama played out in real life on the streets of Hollywood. Police say first the suspect committed an armed robbery. Then he attempted a carjacking at a fast food drive-thru. He actually was able to take over that vehicle and then smash into 2 police cars. The suspect ran from the accident on foot with the machete, then turned and started running toward an officer, chasing him into the street, lunging toward that officer who had fallen on the ground. You can actually see in this video here how close he was to striking that officer with a machete, but another officer fired at the suspect, killing him. The police officer who was injured was treated at the scene.
Police believe they may have found the remains of a missing Alabama college student. 19-year-old Nia Blanchard disappeared a month ago. The remains were found in a wooded area near Montgomery. 3 people have now been charged in connection with the case. Blanchard is the stepdaughter of mixed martial arts fighter Walt Harris.
And Maryland has released 3 men from prison after serving 36 years for a murder they did not commit. Then 16-year-olds, they were convicted of shooting another boy in an argument over a jacket. Their accusers recently recanted their story, and prosecutors say that they may have been coerced and that police may have withheld evidence. The state's attorney asked a judge to throw out their 1983 convictions.
This journey here for us has been rough. I hate to put it like this, we went through hell. It wasn't easy. You see us out here, we smiling. We're happy that we're free, but we got a lot to fix.
A lot to fix indeed. I'm pretty sure the community will rally around them and family as well. The judge offered an apology, but admitted it probably wouldn't mean much. These are the latest releases stemming from a program in Maryland to free wrongly convicted prisoners.
Now, frustrating to know that someone served time for something they didn't do. But then at the same time, really, really thankful for this project. And someone advocating for these innocent men. So
exactly.
Very, very cool.
Well, coming up, a dog goes for a wild ride. How this Chihuahua got behind the wheel.
It's a little scary what can happen when a Chihuahua gets behind the wheel of an SUV. All right, but first, the crackdown on protests in Iran will go across the pond for an inside look after this.
Welcome back. There was a bit of a canine controversy unfolding at the White House, and all over social media.
It involved Conan, the hero dog injured in the raid that killed the founder of ISIS. Conan has recovered from the injuries sustained on that Delta Force mission overseas, and this morning, the dog is back on American soil, swapping the doghouse for the White House. Will Gans sorts all of it out for us.
A hero's welcome at the White House for Conan, the dog who helped take out ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. President Trump, the First Lady, and Vice President Pence recognizing the Belgian Malinois with a plaque and certificate for going above and beyond. Taking Conan for a walk from the Oval Office to the Rose Garden.
I was told about Conan himself, and Conan is a tough cookie, and nobody's going to mess with Conan.
A tough cookie for sure, and a very good boy. Or is he? Both the president and vice president using male pronouns in reference to Conan.
Conan is really a hero. It's a real joy to be able to help welcome him here to the White House with you.
Though some of Conan's fans say she's a very good girl. The White House offering conflicting reports throughout the afternoon on Monday. At one point confirming Conan is a good boy, which would make sense. Several outlets reporting Conan is named after male comedian Conan O'Brien. But then reporters fetching a correction to that story. Conan's a girl. But wait, update, Conan is back to being a male, per White House aides. One thing everyone can agree on, Conan, the courageous canine, is very deserving of all of that recognition. And those head scratches too, of course.
And reporters also asked the president if he would be interested in adopting Conan, but the president said that Conan is not ready for retirement just yet and is technically still a working dog.
And still got some work to do. All right, let's move on now to Iran, where the nation's internet has been restored after the government shut it off for a week amid protests over a gasoline price hike and a crackdown on protesters by security forces. Let's go across the pond to the London Bureau to our foreign correspondent, Julie McFarland, and a special guest there from our Tehran Bureau, producer Samaya Malikian, to break it all down. Good morning, guys. Good to see you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hey, we're really excited to have Samaya. She just got here from Tehran just a couple of days ago, and she was working to try and cover the protests as they were ongoing. But as you say, there was that internet shutdown that took the whole country offline for almost a week. So, Samaya, just tell us quickly, there were these protests that were sort of low, simmering protests, and then all of a sudden, there was that huge hike in gas prices that really kicked things off, right?
We had sporadic protests across the country, but they were not so big-scaled or severe. But about 2 weeks ago, like 12 days ago, the gas price tripled, and we had lots of protests very quickly, erupting around the country.
100 cities, apparently.
Yes, and within less than 48 hours, the government shut the internet, and it kind of made it almost impossible for everyone to understand what is going on.
And they shut the internet down without warning in advance they were going to do it, right? So how did people react? Were they confused?
So in the beginning, I was not personally surprised, because it would happen that upon protest, internet would be cut regionally, like in the specific places that people would gather and shout the slogans. They would cut the internet to prevent coordination amongst people.
So localized
shutdowns. Yes, but when the day after they shutting the internet, we started to understand it was not locally and it was almost everywhere. And then we realized the scale of the danger that the government has felt.
And that was unprecedented, the whole country going dark.
Yeah, totally unprecedented. Let me give you an example of what I went through that night. I was writing a piece for ABC News, and I drafted my piece. I wanted to file, then I realized that I didn't have internet at my home. So I called a few friends. One of them said that he had internet, so I wanted to go there quickly, and then I realized that I couldn't use the internet, the Iranian version of Uber, so because the internet was cut.
So you couldn't call a taxi? That's really fascinating. I mean, from the outside, everyone was wondering, we are struggling to get information out of Iran because of this blackout. And journalists often find it hard working in Iran, right? Like, what are the kind of challenges that you face? What kind of things do you come across when you're trying to report on sensitive topics like the protests?
Yeah, they are very specific moments, very sensitive. We want to remain as honest and open as we can, and there are kind of red lines we have to observe. And I think it would be to the best of everyone if, as journalists, we could cross-reference the data that we receive. I get messages and claims from people that I cannot verify because I don't have the internet. And it would be to the best of everyone, really, that I could refer to authorities, to people, by the fastest way I could, to say, hey, this is rumor, this is not rumor,
and that's a good
what's
point,
happening.
because Amnesty International was trying to verify reports of how many people reportedly were killed in these protests. They had tried to work out what number, and they said that at least 106 people may have been killed, but they said the number was much higher, but it was hard for them to verify. One last thing I just wanted to ask, Iranians on the ground who... These protests were started because of this hike in gas prices, partly because of US sanctions, right? So do the everyday Iranian people, do they blame the Americans for the sanctions? Do they blame the government? Or is it a bit of both? And tell us also, the sanctions also affect you personally, right?
Yes, they do. Let me start with the general feelings. And there are mixed feelings, but I would say that many are very upset and angry about the sanctions put by the U.S. on the country. Frustration and despair they are not overnight feelings. People have been through very tough times in the course of the past 10, 15 years because of the sanctions. And everyone tied their hopes on the Iran deal, the nuclear deal that was signed in 2015. And then President Trump pulled out of this deal and reimposed all of those sanctions. And my generation, people my age, my parents, and the generation after me, we are all kind of stuck. So when is our lives going to get better?
And there's anger at the government for...
Yes, and also there is anger on the government because of the mismanagement, because of the corruption. So people are kind of trapped between the mismanagement and corruption and sanctions, and it's really hard to find a way out of it, because people do not normally want huge foreign intervention, and they don't know how they can keep on like civil disobedience or doing protests, because their protests may not be faced in the best way possible.
So that's just a little slice of life in Iran for you guys.
Wow,
but Samayah, so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
You will be going back to Iran to continue reporting.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Sure.
Guys,
just
over to
really
you.
pulling back the curtain there, Samayah, thank you for your incredible reporting. For us in this network, we really appreciate it. And Julia, thank you for really facilitating that. And that was just incredible there. And Samayah, nice to meet you as well. The first time
to meet you too.
It's Morning
That's
America.
the silver lining, is that she had to come back to London, and we had to get a introduction to her and the hard work that she's been doing for ABC News and for all of us.
Thank you, guys.
So let's right now
We're going to switch it all the way up, because
all the way
talking
around.
about obviously some tough and serious issues happening
around
there in
the
Iran.
world.
To check in our notifications, starting with a dog out for a drive.
This is a totally different story.
Yeah,
here.
completely different.
Yeah, a dog out for a drive. Basically, this puppy, a Chihuahua, got behind the wheel of his
And we don't know how this
SUV
Chihuahua was able to shift or push the pedal or anything.
Or just was you know what it could have been? Was the engine running and the dog put the car into neutral?
Very possible.
Because how does the car just start going? Because the gas fuel nozzle was not in the car, so either she had just started the car.
It's time to go.
You see me trying to use deductive reasoning here, because we're really trying to figure out how in the world a Chihuahua got a car to back up.
I'm pretty
But
sure
it looks like it's rolling into traffic, as if maybe the brake was on. And
yeah, well, I'm glad everyone is safe, including the Chihuahua.
Oh,
all right, look who else is ready
Lord.
for Thanksgiving. These goats having a little
yes.
feast ahead of the big day.
Look at this sweet little girl saying, "Here, have a hot dog bun, goats."
Right.
All these goats have Instagram accounts, by the way. They're famous.
And they're cute as well.
And they're hungry.
Uh-huh.
Well, we are happy that Thanksgiving started early for those little goats. And next to a Michigan man's car that's so appealing, he earned some cash after being pulled over.
Steve Brathwaite and his big banana car were near the Ohio border when a trooper stopped him. Once everything checked out, the trooper gave him $20.
Because it wasn't just because he liked him.
Right.
It was because Brathwaite is actually raising money to drive the big banana across the country. I haven't researched this completely, but I do know that this would spark joy. So if that's what he's using to fuel his campaign, sparking joy with the big bright banana.
Banana, yes. After the officer
it.
pulled him over, he was able to get out of that slippery situation. And a baby seal is thankful it was found in a parking garage in California. This little guy there, they were able to arrest. And then we see some video of him actually like falling.
The seal is falling asleep, like nodding off, and then waking up like, oh wait.
Thanks for finding me.
Oh. But you know, we all look like that around this time of morning. We're just kind of.
Oh right. We definitely are. It's been a long morning.
Catching ourselves.
So moving on now. How would you like to have candy, ice cream, cookies, cake, cookie dough, whatever you want? Not just for dessert, but for Thanksgiving dinner.
I would take it for breakfast right about now. Give me a little boost. It's exactly what our sources recommended when Will Gann stopped by.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner, as you guys know. Are you excited for Thanksgiving, Henry?
Yes. It's like a celebration to eat like a lot of food. Turkeys. Like turkeys.
Yeah. Deanna, what does Thanksgiving mean to you?
So like it's a time where you get to spend time with my family.
Are you excited about that, or?
I'm looking forward to Christmas more.
Okay.
Because Christmas is more exciting for Thanksgiving. Because you get like so much stuff. I'm looking forward to Hanukkah.
So let's say, all right, we're gonna have a Thanksgiving dinner for our friends and our families, okay? Let's make the menu right now. What are we putting on the menu? Gabriel.
Beautiful bread.
Beautiful bread. Allison.
Corn on the cob.
Corn on the cob. Love it. Pizza. Classic Thanksgiving dish. Deanna.
Thanksgiving is that's basically for every family. Turkey.
Turkey. Hello.
French.
French?
I mean, fish.
Fish.
Cookie dough.
Okay.
Ice cream.
Yes, you're just naming all my favorite things now.
You can get Oreos in ice cream. Like.
This is at the movie theater?
Yes.
So should we just cancel Thanksgiving dinner and go there?
Yes. I go there. I know where it is.
Sorry about that.
Classic Will.
He said classic Will. Okay, so on Thanksgiving, a lot of people watch football. Are you guys football people?
No. No. Sometimes. It's too much violence. It's too much violence. People can die. I still can't see why girls can't play football. Yeah. I can't.
Go off. If you're watching football and they say, oh, the referee threw a flag, or there's a flag on the play, who knows what that means?
Home run.
Home run. Home run.
I have no idea.
So Thanksgiving is a day about giving thanks. So let's go down the line and say what we're thankful for this year.
I'm thankful for my family, of course.
Okay, your family, of course.
Because they take care of me and they give me food.
Yeah. What are you thankful for, Ida?
I am thankful for my parents more than anything.
Love that.
And my home.
Maddie?
My family.
Family. Gabriel?
My pet animals, my mommy, the gifts I get at Thanksgiving, and that's it.
Big thanks to Will Gans there and Basis Independent Manhattan. They always come through for us.
Well, those kids, man, they're not just smart, they're adorable.
They gave up
and funny.
And they gave up recess to talk to Will.
Did you hear the little one that said classic Will?
Classic Will. We say that all the time around here.
Your parents must use that terminology with you.
All right.
Classic kid.
Well, coming up, we'll tell you what to watch out for on this Tuesday.
Plus, Thanksgiving comes early on the L train in New York City. Stay with us for more grub. Yum.
Here's what to watch out for today. Back-to-back storms will mean trouble for holiday travelers. They will hammer the western half of the country with heavy snow and high winds. A heavy snowstorm moves into Nebraska and Kansas. By this evening, Denver will still be getting snow while the storm extends to the Great Lakes. Hundreds of flights today have been canceled, and there's a good chance strong winds will ground the balloons in the Macy's parade in New York on Thanksgiving Day.
President Trump is set to grant a presidential pardon to one of a pair of turkeys as part of a tradition that goes back to 1947. Afterwards, President Trump is scheduled to hold a campaign rally in Sunrise, Florida, before spending the holiday weekend at Mar-a-Lago with his family.
Meanwhile, Democrats running for president will be on the campaign trail. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Kamala Harris, and Senator Amy Klobuchar are scheduled to hold events in Iowa, and newcomer to the race, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, is expected at an event in Phoenix, Arizona. Plus, don't forget to tune into The Debrief for an update on all our top stories, in the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics. And finally, from us on this Tuesday, to the New York City subway, riders getting an early Thanksgiving dinner.
You know what? What better way to sit down and enjoy a holiday meal than on the subway? Everybody got a plate as they boarded one car of a train heading from Manhattan to Brooklyn over the weekend, treating these guests to turkey, cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes, cornbread, the whole works.
So one person tweeted, and this one person may have been me, said the mac and cheese was correct and the company was classy.
Yeah, I
Make
mean,
sure the mac and cheese is correct, people.
That is really the key to a great meal.
It really is.
If you mess up mac and cheese, it's like everything else can be fine. It's just not the right thing.
That is our question of the day. Would you eat Thanksgiving dinner on a New York City subway? Would you eat anything a stranger gave you on the subway? Would you eat on a bus? Would you eat on a boat?
Are you trying to do the Sam I Am thing
I
right
was
now?
trying. I was heading
Would you
there.
eat on a plane? Would you eat in the rain?
There it is. She's good. Tell us in the comments section or tweet us at ABC News Live. We want to hear from you.
I would probably just thank the chef and say, you know what you're doing is game-changing. Some of these folks need a little spontaneity in their life, a lifter of their head, some encouragement, hope and humanity, all of that. Thank you.
And that fills my soul.
Yes.
But I will not be filling my soul with that.
I will not be partaking of the plate. No. I mean, it's okay.
It was so
different
good,
strokes
though.
for
It's so
different
good.
folks. It's just, I don't do a lot of things on the subway. One thing is
that's true.
Eat a meal.
Or talk to people, or look at people.
I look at people. In fact, it's funny when I do look at people and I introduce myself or strike up conversations, sometimes they look a little suspiciously at me.
They're like, you're the person.
They're like, what do you want?
Oh, my
Stop
goodness.
looking at your phone and have a conversation.
I love that. I do love that.
You know, it's being vigilant.
Well, I've had a great time the past couple of mornings having a conversation with you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here for It's Morning America. We've had a good time with Adrienne Bankert, everyone.
This is fun. Yeah.
Come back sometime soon.
My second It's Morning
America. There you go.
And then in 2 more mornings, it will be Thanksgiving America.
It will be. So make sure you're watching us when you're at home for Thanksgiving.
Cooking. I mean,
here on It's Morning
some
America.
of us folks cook on Thanksgiving morning.
Well,
some of us sit around and
here's my
wait.
word of advice. Make sure the mac and cheese is right.
That's right.
That is it for
Make
us
it correct.
on this Tuesday. Thanks again to Adrienne Bankert. I will see you tomorrow.
Yes, he's going to see you. Bye.